Welcome to Hub Talk, our weekly overview of what's going on in the industry and what you need to know about right now. This week we'll cover the Verifax Symposium from California. We'll talk about the Total Loss Satisfaction Survey from J.D. Power and Associates, what's new with Facebook Timeline for Businesses, and we'll give you an overview of what you can expect coming up from Collision Hub TV from New Jersey. All right, Liz, we just got back from California, the Verifax Symposium. It was your first time to go. Tell me what you thought.
I had a blast, Kristen. You know, I've been to a lot of industry events, and I've heard a lot of industry experts talking about how we can, really affect change in the industry. And, Farzam and Mark just blew it out of the water, the Verifax team. They do a great job of talking about how we need to think outside the box. And the way they do that best is by bringing experts outside the industry to talk about things that are relevant to all of us. And the biggest one that I really loved is they had Dr. Buchanan, who works with Kaiser Permanente, talking about how important a culture of safety is to an industry and how important it is as a business to make that a cornerstone. And so, he talked about how his experiences in both aviation and in the medical field actually apply to our industry and to that culture of safety.
Right, yeah, that was really great for me. I know when we think about safety in our industry, we think about the repair process and what that does, but there's also safety for our employees. So we just had an article come out, or a little story in ABRN, where there was a death of a body shop employee.
Yeah.
Now doing something a little silly, welding on a big 18-wheeler wheel, but come on, we've all done some silly things in our career, just trying to move the car along faster and just get the job done. So one of my greatest takeaways was when he talked about the culture of safety, was that once there's that safe environment for your consumers through the repair process or the procedure for the surgery, and then once the doctors and your employees have that sense of security also, it actually becomes a valuable commodity because it frees you up where you're not fixing problems or worrying about problems, and it actually makes your business get better, grow faster, and become more profitable.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Pay attention to the Hub, Collision Hub TV. We're going to be releasing some interviews with Dr. Buchanan and sharing a little bit more about the culture of safety.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
That takes us into J.D. Power and Associates.
Yes.
Right, so they just released a little survey that said that overall customer satisfaction with total loss settlement process is down.
Yeah.
So that's not a big surprise, right?
Mm-hmm.
What our takeaway was from this was that it talked about the communication. And so what the consumers were finding were communication problems. Too much communication, in fact, is what they thought. They had 5 or 6 different people involved in the process.
Information overload, big time, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, for me, I think about that, oftentimes from both sides of that fence because I've been there. But we don't do in the repair business a really good job of communicating with the customer. No. We just don't. We kind of let maybe the insurer take over, or we let the repair process take over.
The rental process, yeah.
And a lot of us are looking to third parties to do that communication for us, whether it's a rental car company keeping them involved, whether we're trying to do a text messaging service or something that we think takes communication off of us. But it's just not working.
Well, your job to communicate to your customer never changes. Just because you're outsourcing pieces of it doesn't mean that you let go of the process. It's really important to be the connector in your business and make sure that you're meeting those needs and that you are the face that they expect and that they choose as their resource.
Yeah. So the biggest stat for us was that at the end of that article, which also appeared in ABRN, they surveyed customers that had repairable cars, and only 35% of the people surveyed who had a repairable car listed the body shop as their primary contact during the repair process.
That's crazy, Kristen. So basically, the consumer doesn't even think the body shop is the most qualified person to be, the primary contact. So that says a huge deal about, where we are in terms of customer respect and engagement. So
right. So if you have a communication plan for your customers, you may want to think about revising it, because that's 70% of people getting their car repaired don't see the shop as the primary content, and that's a scary statistic for me. So especially when you're thinking about capturing business, word of mouth, we all want that word of mouth referral, but if we're not the point of contact, why would I get a word of mouth referral? So if you don't have a communication plan for your consumers, then it's time to bring everybody in, have a team meeting, and come up with one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Liz?
Yes.
What's new with Facebook?
Well, Kristen, one of the things that I do for Collision Hub is pay attention to social trends and pay attention to changes in social media platforms so that we can prepare our customers and our audience for getting ready. And the biggest thing on the map right now is that this month, March, Facebook released Timeline for Business. And I know a lot of you've probably seen Timeline for individual pages where you have that big bar at the top of the Facebook page and then things are kind of laid out in columns. It's a little bit confusing. Well, now you can do those things, those timelines for your business, and for the next 30 days or so, it's going to be optional. You can play with it, you can design it, and keep it from being published. But at the end of that time frame, excuse me, it's not going to be optional anymore. It's going to be mandatory, and your page is going to be automatically switched to timeline. So you need to look into it. You need to start designing, getting organized. Get your cover screen, which is that image at the top of your timeline, designed to be a really good brand impact, you know, and personalize it. But also, a lot of the things that you've already had designed, your pages and functionality, you need to go back and make sure that those specifications still apply to the new timeline, because a lot of dimensions and things have changed. And so don't let it happen before you're prepared. Get in there, sample it, get some things figured out. And then we've got a video coming out in the next couple of days that's going to talk about what those changes are, how to get ready, what sorts of things you can do. And then also there's going to be a blog post and an article in the Hub, if you're a subscriber, that walks you through the how-tos and how those apply to you as a business. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, don't forget to jump over to the Hub and learn more about that service. That's a monthly social media consulting tool that comes delivered direct to your email, direct to YouTube, in video format, that just walks you through monthly any changes, gives you tips and tricks. So it's a good service. So what's coming up for Collision Hub? Where are we going?
Well, you know, we've got a really exciting Repair University episode coming up, and that's, you know, our free 1-hour training each month. And this one is going to be about estimating, and we've also got one coming out about airbags. So, you know, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're going to be heading to New Jersey for the AASP Northeast Trade Show, which is a great show. We love it. It's a regional show. I would say it's a little regional show, but it's not. That show's gotten huge.
Yeah.
So we're going to be presenting actually a social media training there on Friday night, and then we're going to do on Saturday a couple episodes of Repair University. So if you happen to be sitting at home over the weekend and want to log on, you'll get to watch some live shows. We're going to have Doug Gann from Airbag Solutions come on and talk about what's new with airbags. And so just when we think we had it all down, we learned at NACE that we now have these pedestrian airbags, and it's going to change the way we estimate. So Doug's going to walk us through all of that, talk a little bit about airbag safety specifically for repairs. And then Larry Montanez and P&L Consultants is going to come on and do a training on estimating. So we're going to start with an estimating basics. So let's get back to basics. Let's get back to finding the information you need and getting the estimate right. Which is big for customer service. You know, if I get a good estimate up front and I can put that estimate in the customer's hands, we don't have to wait for that final. So we're going to talk a lot about that. The estimate's the #1 tool you can hand a consumer. So.
And if you guys keep track of Collision Hub on our Facebook, our Twitter, you know, our YouTube channel, also the website, you're going to see a lot of news, a lot of stories, a lot of video coming out of that event. So we can keep you in touch with what's going on in the industry, because I think it's, you know, it's so vital as a business to know what's happening in your industry and how to plug into that. So.
Yeah, and the next weekly Hub Talk is going to be coming up on Sunday from New Jersey as we wrap up the AASP show. So we'll have a lot of information from that. So stay tuned weekly as we bring you Hub Talk.